And what's up, you guys? Welcome to the Mango Grove. My name is Krisha, and this is today's Bitcoin and, well, Chainlink analysis video. I didn't get too many requests in the last video for any altcoins, so, well, we will be covering the status quo Chainlink. So we will be doing that today. Markets are looking relatively consolidationary, if that is even a word. But we'll just be going over, the developments that we saw on the charts yesterday. Now, Bitcoin did see a pullback on yesterday's candle, so we're gonna drill down to some of those lower time frames. But first, what we're gonna do is we're going to assess what that dump, or that drawdown did to the macro chart. Okay, where are we on the macro timeframes? All right, so now I'm currently on the monthly. I don't know why I'm on the monthly. Let's get onto the weekly. The monthly is a bit overkill considering that we just started the month. And as things stand right now, I do believe that Bitcoin is still very much holding its structure, right? Well, what exactly was it that we were looking for? It was for that Tenkin to hold and for those higher lows to be intact. And so far, so good. Okay, so we're still sort of maintaining that structure in addition to the higher lows being intact. Well, the lower highs are also being intact. So it's getting like really, really tight here right now. Okay, now also if we just pan on over to the daily time frame, I'm just going to go over this. I'm going to try and make this video pretty quick because I don't think there have been, too many developments on the chart. What I am noticing though is that a lot of people are, how do I put this? They're getting a bit antsy. Okay, with Bitcoin's current price action. And I'm noticing that a lot of them are also losing positions. Now, I get it. I get that, Bitcoin has pretty much been playing around with our emotions now for a good month, ever since this dump here, right? We settled into the daily cloud. This was on the 3rd of September. And now, guys, we're on 7th of October. So 3rd of September, and we have been living in this range for like over a month now. Okay, it's been over a month, and we're not finding everyone's looking for a conclusion of sorts, right? Is it breaking up? Is it breaking down? Are we going to 7K? Are we going to 13, 14K? Where is this going, right? A lot of people are asking me, should I buy now? Now, in the last comment section, someone did ask that question. I just wanted to let you guys know that these are all, I want you to look at this analysis, every daily analysis that Sean and I put out. It's for you to understand that there's a process to technical analysis. And when you are doing technical analysis, when you are looking at a chart, it is very important to understand that any particular trade can have two sides. Okay, one bullish if it breaks up, and one bearish if things start breaking down. And especially now more than ever, when we are at a very pivotal juncture in time. We have the most important elections on the planet taking place in about a month. Okay, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the world, okay, in general. So, be careful here. Understand that there can be two sides. But my main important point here is that have a plan, okay? Just have a plan. And to even have a plan, you need to understand that this trade can have two sides. You can start off first by having a time horizon. If you're getting into Bitcoin, have a time horizon. How fast do you want to see this pan out? These are all like little itty bits of information that will help you approach your trade or your position, whether it is a long-term position or a short-term position. It will help you approach it with more clarity. Okay, the last thing you want is for you to, get into a position or get out of a position and price goes the opposite direction. So understand that this can have two sides, okay? There's no buy or sell. That depends on every individual trader and what your expectations are. All right, now I am telling you how I am playing this. I am playing it on those higher time frames. I'm currently playing it on the weekly time frame and the monthly time frame, and I've been telling you guys about this. I've been telling you about my sentiment. My sentiment right now, I am feeling bullish still on this chart. Okay, now if for those of you who watched Sean's macro analysis that we did a couple of days ago, he mentioned now on the yearly time frame, the more pivotal region there was that 7K region. And for as long as Bitcoin lives over 7K, I am still going to remain bullish on the chart because I am looking at a longer term time horizon. Now, that's my personal sentiment, that's my personal opinion, and that's how I'm going to be playing it. It's only if Bitcoin breaks past 7K will my sentiment actually change. Okay, now back onto the daily time frame. What I can see on this chart is that Bitcoin is still consolidating. Yes, fine, we did have this drawdown yesterday, but we're still very much in this range. We're being squeezed into that range right now. The range also coming in line with that daily cloud region there. Right? Ever since we broke into the cloud, Bitcoin has been oscillating within that range, and it's a squeeze situation. So yes, I am looking for a conclusion very, very fast on this. Okay, I think in a couple of days we should find some closure, okay, on what price wants to do. So far, it's holding that that symmetrical triangle boundary there. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and extend my line because I do believe now this is how I personally am looking at the pattern. I'm looking at this candle right here, okay, as the start of the symmetrical triangle, which pretty much came in on 3rd of September, and then basically going all the way down to the end of the apex here, which is sitting at 13th October, give or take. Now, if we calculate the measured move on that basis, okay, taking this as the candle, because I'm noticing that some people out there, they're looking at this range, this range right here as the triangle. So basically starting from this candlestick right here on 19th of September, going all the way down to, well, the apex once again. But it's a much smaller triangle that people are looking at. I'm looking at a much wider range. Now I have to look at that as the range, okay? And I actually take the measured move of the range that I personally am looking at, and we say we break up. This will take Bitcoin all the way up to testing these highs right here, essentially at 12K, 12.4K, okay? And if we break down, okay, if Bitcoin breaks down, where does this take us down to? And 8.8K. I'm gonna go ahead and just mark this with a line segment just for my reference on those higher time frames to see if there's anything that sort of lines up with that region. As things stand right now, there's no closure on this, okay? And until we see a break on either side, jumping the gun on, at least for me, I will personally not be jumping the gun on any position or any side on those lower time frames. I'm not looking to play any range until this sees a bit of closure. Okay, I want to see a push either by the bulls or the bears for me to really anticipate my next move. But as things stand right now, I feel like Bitcoin has this habit, at least with consolidation patterns, and especially that of symmetrical triangles. I always notice that this is a thing that it does, okay? And especially if a lot of people are looking at the pattern. Now, I'm noticing that this symmetrical triangle is pretty much on everyone's radar right now. And I notice that Bitcoin usually does this, okay? It'll kind of get closer to the apex, and then when it gets like really, really close, it does something like this. It breaks to the upside. Great for the bulls. But then right after, like immediately, okay, just when everyone starts getting that hope, when the bulls start anticipating a further sort of push to the upside, it does this. So there's usually a wick on the upside and a wick on the downside, basically screwing over both sides of the market. So the closer it gets to the apex, I'll be looking for a level of effery, for the lack of a better word. Now, for those of you in the Mango Seed program, Sean actually shows you, he tells you exactly how to plan for things like this. I believe it's in the institutional order flow module, okay? That way you're kind of safe on your stop losses. So, definitely give that another watch to see what price could do, okay, what the bulls and the bears could do in ranges like this. How far could they really, really push it? So yeah, definitely, watch that module to get a little more insight on when things like this happen, okay, price action like this happens. I think that will give you a little bit more clarity there. But yeah, right now as things stand, we are getting closer. We have not found a closure to this pattern. The sooner we find a closure, the better. The closer it gets to the apex, I'm going to be a bit antsy there. But this is what's going on in the daily time frame. Let's get on to the 4-hour time frame to see what's up there. And look at this. Like yesterday, this is exactly what I was telling you, right? I said, hey guys, we're maintaining that 4-hour uptrend, which was all well and good. However, we were still sitting underneath that diagonal that was marking the symmetrical triangle, right, on the daily time frame. And as you can see, we got rejected right off of it. And the first thing I told you guys is that if this trend has to really come to an end, and if this has to see follow through to the downside, I will be looking for that 4-hour trend to be lost, at which point I'm essentially looking for these wick lows to be lost, right? And that's exactly what we did here. We first came, tested it on this candle, and then the next candle was technically your confirmation. And this was technically your opportunity to get out of any sort of scalp long position that you had on, okay, in case you didn't want the trade going against you. But that was your opportunity to get out of the long position right there, okay? And then what do you know, the next candle we saw immediate follow through to the downside, and like I said, the very next level was going to be that 10.5k going all the way down to 10.4k. So far we're getting sort of supported at that 10.5k region, which is decent because this is going to help us really maintain that weekly higher low structure. Okay, so I want to see another additional push here if the bulls have to take over, but man, is this fight getting tight. Okay, I can't really, tell where this is going to go. The daily and the 4-hour is not really giving us much of a, of a clear picture. As the daily, if you notice the EMAs and the MAs and stuff, nothing is really trending. Everything is like in a horizontal line of sorts. And not just that, I mean, price is oscillating in the cloud. And every time that happens, now for those of you who are looking to learn Ichimoku, the Ichimoku Cloud, now Sean is coming up with a module very, very soon. He's working on that right now, actually. But one thing about the cloud is that every time price is oscillating in that cloud range inside the cloud, that is essentially known as a no trade zone, okay, especially if the cloud range is this narrow. However, I think the best setup for the cloud is when price is over the cloud, okay? That really gives us a clue as to whether or not price is likely to trend from there or not. So that's what I personally look for. Right now, it's a no trade zone for me. We're getting too close to too many, major events on a more technical standpoint, as well as on a fundamental standpoint. But yeah, this is all I have for you for Bitcoin. For me personally, yes, I'm playing those higher time frames. I am bullish on the higher time frames even still. Okay, honestly, guys, I don't feel safe holding any sort of fiat right now, and I'm not going to be okay losing any of my Bitcoin. All right, and I do not want to get, shook out here. I personally am not letting all of this intra-week price action shake me out of any of my positions. I personally think that it's going to really pay to zoom out of this chart right now. For not just this chart, any chart for that matter, it's going to pay to zoom out. Okay, but this is what's going on Bitcoin USD. Okay, now let's get on to LINKUSD, and see what Link is up to. Damn. Link is looking very, very bearish. It's still like in this perpetual sort of downtrend. I believe it's lost, 50-60% now ever since its highs at $20. It's lost about all the way to the bottommost wick. That was a good 63%. Right now we're hovering at around 58% from the top. Okay, now this last weekly candle that we closed on Monday, we actually closed over the 21 EMA. If you sort of have to assess the numbers to the dot, you'll notice that price actually closed over the 21 EMA. So that was good, but it was not like convincing, I was looking for a more convincing close over the 21, and that was not convincing at all. Just look at that close compared to the close from the other two previous candles that we had on the weekly time frame. So this was sort of expected. I was sort of expecting, price to have this continuation to the downside. But I want to see where this gets supported now. So far, it's looking weak. If I have to be completely honest and completely unbiased with you guys, this is a very, very steep, it's a very steep fall to the downside. I mean, we could, of course, draw a trend line, but I feel like it's so steep that it's almost futile to draw a trend line. And I don't want to be sort of grabbing onto straws in terms of looking for bullish, price structures or patterns. I feel like diagonals, especially diagonals, they're very subjective. People could draw diagonals very differently. I mean, I'm connecting, a bunch of wicks here. Some people only take candle body closes, so they'll probably do something like this, right? And they'll bring it down. And this can really skew the entire picture in terms of where price really breaks. All right, but if this breaks, okay, if Chainlink USDT has to break a trend line of sorts because of how intense that downtrend is, I will be looking for volume to step in on any bullish break. Okay, I want to see that volume. If the volume is not there on the break, and especially if the downtrend is this intense, I will be ignoring the break of the downtrend. So wait for it. Usually it's not necessary that you always have to get it on the break. Sometimes what happens is that, price is likely to break to the upside. Okay, so we have a break of a trend. So now this is a downtrend right here. However, we do not see the volume push. But on the next 2 candles, and I'll wait 2 candles to see if volume actually enters. Sometimes you'll see that nice big volume push that comes in on the 2nd candle or even the 3rd. Okay, but I don't want to see, bunch of candles just hover here and there's no volume to support it. Now, that's the last thing I want to see. I don't think that the bulls are really taking over at that point. I want to see, because of how crazy the downtrend has been, I feel like the volume push there is going to be an important one. But so far, Chainlink USDT's downtrend is pretty intense. Now, what I am looking for is for Chainlink to actually come and have an official test of this region right here at $8.16. Okay, this is a major weekly level, and I feel like price actually wants to sort of get down there, have an official test of that level. Now, if we break $8.16 to the downside, okay, and you don't have to even look too far, just look at this range right here, right? The last time we were oscillating in this sort of range, every time sort of Chainlink lost it, we sort of just ranged in that green box territory. Now, the green box territory that I have is a weekly range. This is basically from $8.25 going all the way down to $6.95, give or take. Okay, but if we actually get down there and if we start closing additional daily candles underneath that, I will be looking for continuation to the downside, coming down to $6.93. Okay, but at that point, we would have lost this low right here. Now, what's really going to set a bearish precedent here is essentially taking out this wick low. Okay, now this is sitting at $6.51. And if you just pan it over to the weekly time frame, I'm going to mark that with a vertical line right there, just for my reference. I want to get onto that weekly time frame, and that should be the wick low on the weekly, right? And it is. So taking out that is going to have some crazy bearish implications, at which point I'll be looking for Chainlink to enter this range right here. And while this range looks like a very, small range on my weekly chart, rest assured it's not. From here, going all the way down to, the next point of support, which is only sitting at $4.52, that is 34% to the downside. Okay, that's not something that you want to be sitting through. However, of course, it's going to be an if this, then that. Price is yet to get there. So far, what I will be looking for is for price to actually come and have an official test of this region. Okay, it's only if we start closing candles underneath this will I expect price to move all the way down to $6.95. All right, so it's going to be an if this, then that, but this is weekly support. And that cannot be ignored, right? I'll be looking for some level of support there. I'll be looking for the bulls to actually step in there. To which magnitude, I'm not sure. We'll have to kind of wait and watch to see how they really pick things up on that region. But so far, it's looking bearish. What I'll be looking for this trend to change. Now, you guys know about this. I've been harping on about the same thing for like days now. It's for Chainlink to take back the 21 EMA and start living over that. Okay, 21 Tenkin, I want to see a bit of push. I want to see price to maintain that. If you notice what happened here, the last time we took out the 21 Tenkin, so we took it out here, we lost again, okay? Took it out here, now we held it for like multiple 4-hour candles until we found rejection here. Now, as soon as this came up here, we put in a lower high there. The next candle was also a lower high, and then we put in a lower low here as well. That was our sign to tell us that, hey, price is likely to get rejected here. This is rejection, and we're likely to come down as well. And if you notice, the 21 EMA and the 10 SMA were sort of they were dimming out at that point. You could see them losing that positive slope, right? And then we had that bearish crossover setup, and what do you know, price just had another sort of fall to the downside. At the very least right now, I'll be expecting price to actually come up and test the Tenkin or the 21 EMA, but it's only if and when we start living over those two regions, okay, and properly establishing a trend, will I be looking for this to actually have a reversal. Okay, I'm willing to lose the bottom. I don't care about catching bottoms or tops. Okay, as traders, what we need to focus on is catching the meat of the trade without falling victim to death by 1,000 cuts. Because getting in and out of positions, okay, only so that you can catch bottoms and tops will eventually lead to that. Death by 1,000 cuts. And your account equity can wither away to nothing just by doing that. Okay, so be clear, have a plan on this, and be okay not catching bottoms and not catching tops. Okay, be okay with that. It is important as traders. I feel like that should be one of the first lessons, just understanding, having those expectations, being okay with just catching the meat of the trade. All right, now this is all I have for you for Chainlink USDT. I'll be looking for price to come all the way down to $8.17. And if and when we do get picked up, at the very least, I'll be looking for a test of the Tenkin and the 21 EMA. Depending on how we close relative to those two levels, okay, will that really dictate where price wants to go next? If we close over, I will be looking for a further push to the upside, the first point of resistance being the bottom of the cloud here at $9.42. As soon as we clear that, then Kijun resistance overhead. However, if we start getting rejected off of the 21 EMA, I'll be looking for price to essentially do this, get rejected, and then come back down. Test these lows first, okay, and then possibly, if we lose it, make its way down to this region right here. And however, this region is going to be key because this is a weekly point of support. I'll be looking for the bulls to actually, show some strength there. If I see that price is dwindling in that region, okay, and I'm seeing that they're losing strength, I will be looking for that region to be broken. At which point, the next point of support is only coming in at $6.90, give or take. All right, now this is all I have for you for Chainlink USDT as well as Bitcoin. With this, guys, trade safely, trade stress-free, trade the mango way, trade the easy way. Ciao.